Today, I'm going to share with you all the filming locations for Soarin Over California and just about all the info you need to visit the locations yourself. It's going to be neat. Check it out. So I've been sitting on this one for a long time, but I just never made it out to the locations to film them all myself. And I always thought, well, maybe I'll find someone who does this type of thing and share the idea with them, and then they can have it and they can share it, make a video. But I never talked to anyone, never found anyone to do it. So today I'm just going to do it and give you what I got, and I hope you enjoy it. So the ride opened in 2001 and was replaced in 2016. Now, occasionally in the spring, Disneyland has brought the ride back, but I don't think there's any guarantees going forward. And especially since this year, 2026, they're bringing in a new ride called Soarin Over America, I think. So I don't know if the ride will ever be back now, but I thought that this was the best version of the ride. Obviously, I've never seen the new ride. California is amazing. I've lived here for a while now, and there's just so much to see here. And I think that this ride really highlights all the different facets of California, all the places that you can see. I think if someone was able to visit all these locations, that would be an excellent way to see a good chunk of what California has to offer. But I think the ride highlights some of the most important ones here. Before I tell you where they are, I want you to pause this video. I want you to open a new tab, and I want you to search Soarin Over California. The first 3 videos that I found, I'll link below if you somehow can't find any. And if you're using Google Chrome, you can right click it and open in split tab. But either way, I want you to have that music playing in the background. It's going to make it better. All right, here we go. Here's the locations. So the first location is the Golden Gate Bridge, obviously in San Francisco, California. As we are watching this shot, we're flying from north to south. Just know that there is a fee for crossing the Golden Gate Bridge if you're entering the city, which unfortunately is when you're traveling north to south. It costs $9.75 currently, and that's per axle. If you have more axles, it goes up steeply after that. However, the bridge is free to go across south to north, so if you don't have to have it just perfect, you can find a way to get into the city, because there are a lot of roads going to the city that also have tolls that are cheaper, but still. But yeah, it's free to go south to north. And then, depending on when you go, make sure you check the fog forecast. San Francisco, the East Bay, and the bridge in particular are prone to having a lot of fog. It even has a name. Comment below if you know what the name of the fog is. But it's usually more foggy in the summer months and the early mornings and evenings.
The bridge is peeking out over the top of it. Peeking out. Look at that.
All right, the next location is this river, which happens to be Redwood Creek in Trinidad, California. This is the Redwood National Park. So I think the best time of year to go here would be March to May, and you want to make sure that California hasn't had a really dry winter. That's when California gets all of its rain and snow. So in March and May, some of the snow is melting and the river will be actually flowing, and it won't just be a dry riverbed. You should know that you need a free online access permit to use the Tall Trees Trail Road, and you can park at the Tall Trees Trailhead and hike to 44 Camp. It's about a 3-mile backcountry hike, and then you're going to follow Redwood Creek Trail north about 1.3 miles just before the trail turns west, and there's a fork in the trail just before the river turns west. All right, next here is the balloons. This is Napa, or more specifically, this is actually Oakville, California. So this is actually, I believe, a private road. It's located approximately between 7900 and 7962 St. Helena Highway in Oakville, California. The best time of year to check this out is going to be spring or summer. That's when the hot air balloons are flying. Yes, you can rent a hot air balloon in this area. And actually, the place where it really starts is this private home. You can also get close to it if you travel down Money Road, but obviously you don't want to get too close and start driving into this person's driveway or in their property. The next location is the Monterey Bay Sanctuary. Now, this is in Point Lobos State National Reserve in Carmel, California. In the video on the ride, we're at Big Dome Cove, and we're flying west over Pinnacle Point. Now, to visit this National Reserve, you can use your California Parks Pass, or I think it's about $10 for a one-day pass. You're going to park. It was pretty full the day I went there, and we had to park on the road leading up to the park and then just walk a little bit. The skiing, this is at Ellis Peak in Tahoe City, California. All right, if you want to visit this one in the winter, the closest you can get to it is if you ski Homewood. That's a skiing location in the area. It's called Homewood, just like it's Homewood. But if you go in the summer or when there's not snow, you're going to take Barker Pass Road, and that's going to be a 7-mile drive until you get to the trailhead for Ellis Peak Summit. And then it's a 6.2-mile hike round trip. I'm going to include a link to someone who talks about the hike itself if you're interested. And then also, I think I saw something that said that a permit's required to use the road, Barker Pass Road. But it's a free day use permit at the trailhead. So just make sure you look into that before going so that that's not a problem for you. All right, the next location is Yosemite National Park, and more specifically, Yosemite Falls. The best time to visit this one is probably going to be May, again, for the melting snow and the water to make sure that the falls is actually flowing. Again, you can use your California Parks Pass. Otherwise, it's going to be $35 a day or $135 if you're not a U.S. resident. I'm not going to say any more about that. I'm sorry. There's also other passes available if you're planning on visiting other national parks. So if you are a non-resident and you're coming here to visit multiple national parks, there's like an America the Beautiful pass, which is like $250. But I guess it's better than having to pay like over $100 for every park you go to. Also, make sure that you check if you need reservations before you go, because apparently, I know during COVID they started doing the reservation thing and it's been going on, but I think during lower seasons, maybe you don't need it. I'm not sure. Just make sure that if you need a reservation, you make it before you go. All right, next is the golf course. This is the PGA West Arnold Palmer Private in La Quinta, California. This is more specifically, this is hole 16. We're flying north up the freeway. As I said in the name, this is a private golf course. So unfortunately, that means you can't just drive up there and go visit it. So the only option I could think of, unless you know a member or you're really sneaky, is that you could stay at an Airbnb in the community. That's what I was going to do when I was going to go here. I was going to find an Airbnb that was in there, and then I could just walk to the golf course and check it out. I don't necessarily think staying at the Airbnb would grant you access to the course itself. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but at least you'd be able to see it. With that said, Airbnbs in that community, from when I looked it up, were quite expensive because they're quite big. So just so you know. The next one, this is my favorite one. I was so proud of myself for finding this one. This is the Orange Grove, the one on the ride where you smelled oranges and the music kind of just really picked up. Like, this is the one that I liked the most when I was even on the ride. This is, everyone, when I was looking this one up, everyone was saying, it's gone, it's bulldozed for housing communities. And I understand why people would say that. I actually came from a place where they had orange groves, and those have been bulldozed and housing communities have been put up, which to me is really sad. I know there's a shortage of housing for people, but it's just you grow up with something and you want that thing to be around. And so with all that said, it is not gone. I found it and I've been there, and I will show you the video after I tell you a little about it. So it's in Soarin, California. It's specifically on Price Road. You're flying northwest across Price Road. So, all right, here you go. Here's the proof. All right, next we got the desert scene. This is a place called Anza Borrega Desert State Park. More specifically, you're quite near Fonts Point. This is in Borrega Springs, California. So the actual shot is an unnamed wash east of Fonts Point, Wash Road, and you're flying south. So to get to it, you're going to take Fonts Point Access Road about 4 miles, and you're going to get there via the Borrega Salton Seaway. So take Borrega Salton Seaway, turn on a Fonts Point Access Road, and go about 4 miles. And then you're going to have to either park, get out and walk the rest of the way, or you can go all the way to Fonts Point, and then from there, you could walk potentially over, maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't been to this one. I don't know if you're allowed to walk from Fonts Point across to this site, or if you'd be technically walking in like wilderness area that you're not supposed to be walking on. It's the desert, so I'm not sure. I also don't know if that's safe. I don't know what it looks like because I haven't been there. So please don't do anything dangerous. Please don't do anything illegal. Please bring a 4x4 if you're going to go here, because once you turn off of Borrega Salton Seaway, it's a dirt road, and it's not just dirt. It's like, I believe it's sandy. Yeah, just be careful if you go out there and you don't have one. I don't want you to get stuck. All right, next we got the aircraft carrier scene. So this is NAS North Island, or NAS Coronado, on Coronado Island in California, near San Diego. Specifically, I think this is called Pier K, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, you're flying north, turning to the east. This is on an active naval station, a naval base. So there's no public access. So unless you know someone in the military, you're not going to be able to get on. And then even if you can get on, typically there's no filming allowed on military installations. All right. Now we got the surfing scene. This is in Malibu, California, more specifically around 28824 Cliffside Drive, Malibu, California. So you're flying south-southwest toward Point Dume, I believe it's called, D-U-M-E. The scene starts, and just to the right, you see like kind of this cliff wall really quickly, or like a seawall really quickly. And if you have a really keen eye, you can see there's actually like a man-made structure on top of that seawall. What happens to be this person's like patio. So that's private property. I believe there's possible access at the end of Gray Fox Street, which is really close by. But I'm not sure. I did my best looking on Google Maps. What's it called? The Google Car View. I'm so old. It looked like there was public access. But there's not a lot of parking, so don't everybody go at once, okay? All right, next to last here, we got downtown LA. The shot starts right around the LA Convention Center, and you're flying northbound on the 110. Yeah, that's about it to this one. And then last, of course, we got Disneyland. This is pretty straightforward. Everybody knows this one. You're just flying, starting around where the monorail is, straight into the park toward the direction of the Matterhorn and the castle. All right, that's about it. Okay, bye.